Dr. J1 stepped into the observation garden of the space station Zix-7, and the first thing he noticed was the light. It was everywhere. Red, blue, and green glows came from the plants around him, making the entire garden look like something from a dream. He had been on the station for 3 weeks now, but he still felt amazed every time he came here. The garden was beautiful and dangerous at the same time. All around him were strange plants that he had never seen before. Their leaves were thick and shiny. Some of them had flowers that changed color every few seconds. The air smelled sweet and fresh, nothing like the recycled air in the ship that had brought him here from Earth. J1 was a botanist. His job was to study plants from different worlds and figure out which ones could help humans survive on new planets. He loved his work more than anything. Ever since he was a little boy, he had wanted to understand how plants worked and what they could do. As he walked through the garden, J1 saw something that made him stop. High up in the trees, there were fruits hanging from the branches. These fruits were not like any he had ever seen. They were round and smooth, and they glowed with a deep crimson color that seemed to come from inside the fruit itself. The color pulsed like a heartbeat, getting brighter and then darker over and over again. Just looking at them made J1 feel a strange pull toward them. A voice called out from behind him. It was Captain Hai-Il, the leader of the human team on the station. She was walking with another person, a tall alien with silver skin named Zithral. Zithral was a Valdorian, the species that owned this station. He had been the one to invite the humans here to study and learn. Dr. J1, Captain Hai-Il said, walking toward him with a serious look on her face. I hope you got the warning message about the garden rules. J1 nodded. Of course he had gotten the message. Every single person on the station had gotten the same message 3 times. He remembered it clearly because it had seemed very dramatic. The death apples, Captain Hai-Il continued, pointing up at the red fruits that J1 had been watching. Do not touch them. Do not go near them. Do not even breathe the air around them if you can help it. They are deadly poison to every species except the Valdorians. Zithral stepped forward. His alien face was hard to read, but his voice sounded very serious. A Carabian scientist tried to study them 1 month ago. He did not follow the safety rules. Now he is in the medical station in a special sleep box. We do not know if he will ever wake up again. The toxin is one of the most powerful things in the galaxy. It was made by nature over millions of years to kill large animals on our home planet. I understand, J1 said carefully. He was not a reckless person. He never took chances with his safety. I will only study the other plants, the ones that are safe. Good, Captain Hai-Il said, and she seemed to relax a little bit. Dr. Curie has already set up the research lab. She is waiting for you there. After they left, J1 continued his walk through the garden. He made notes about everything he saw, the small purple flowers that grew near the ground, the tall plants with leaves like sails, the vines that moved slowly, as if they were alive in a way that normal plants were not. But his eyes kept coming back to the death apples. There was something about them that pulled at him. Maybe it was the way they glowed. Maybe it was because everyone had told him they were dangerous. He was not sure. But he found himself standing beneath one of the trees, looking up at the red fruits hanging above his head. He thought about the Carabian scientist. He thought about the warnings. He thought about how his job was to be careful and professional. Then he saw something on the ground. One of the death apples had fallen. It lay on the soft moss near the base of the tree. The fall must have been hard because the fruit had cracked open. The inside was even more beautiful than the outside. The flesh was bright red and glowing, and it was leaking a clear liquid that smelled like nothing J1 had ever smelled before. The smell was sweet and strange, like flowers and metal mixed together. J1 looked around. There was no one else in this part of the garden. Captain Hay-Il and Zithral were gone. The security cameras could see everything, but he knew that the people monitoring them were very busy. In a station this large, no one watched everything all the time. He took a step closer to the fallen fruit. His scientific mind was screaming at him to leave it alone. But another part of his mind, a deeper part, was curious. It was the same part that had made him want to study plants in the first place. The part that wanted to know everything, to understand everything, to discover things that no one else had discovered before. He bent down and picked up the fallen death apple. It was warm in his hand. It was also lighter than he expected. The weight of it felt almost gentle. He turned it over slowly, studying the way the red light moved under the skin of the fruit. The smell got stronger as he held it, filling his nose with that strange, sweet metal fragrance. For just a moment, Jae-won held the fruit up to his face. He wanted to smell it more clearly. The scent was intoxicating, almost like it was calling to him in a language that was not words. His hand moved toward his mouth. He did not remember making this choice. It seemed like his body was doing this by itself, without asking his brain for permission. His fingers held the broken fruit steady. He could feel the juice dripping down his wrist now. It felt warm, almost hot. Jae-won opened his mouth. He took a bite of the death apple. The taste was like electricity and mango and something sweet that he had no name for. It was the most delicious thing he had ever eaten. His taste buds seemed to explode with flavor. He wanted more. Without thinking, he took another bite and then another. The juice ran down his chin and his neck, soaking into his shirt. He did not care. All he could think about was the taste. All he could feel was the strange, wonderful sensation of the fruit dissolving on his tongue and going down his throat. He stood in the garden of the space station, eating a fruit that was supposed to kill him, while the bioluminescent plants glowed all around him, and the universe turned quietly outside the walls. And he did not feel sick at all. In fact, he felt wonderful. Dr. Q-Ri was sitting at her desk in the medical bay when the alarm started screaming. The sound was so loud and so sudden that she jumped up from her chair and knocked over her cup of coffee. The liquid spilled across her desk, but she did not stop to clean it up. Something bad had happened. She could hear it in the way the alarm was wailing. She grabbed her emergency medical kit from the shelf behind her. Her hands moved fast, checking that everything was inside. The antidote injector, the breathing mask, the neural scanner, the heart monitor. All of it was there. She had trained for this moment many times, but training was not the same as the real thing. The message came through on her communication device. Medical emergency in the observation garden. Possible death apple exposure. Immediate response required. Q-Ri did not waste time asking questions. She ran. The corridors of the space station were long and white and felt like they went on forever. Her feet pounded against the metal floor as she ran, her medical kit bouncing against her side. Other people were coming out of their rooms and offices, wondering what was happening. She pushed past them without slowing down. When she reached the observation garden, she expected to see chaos. She expected to see someone lying on the ground, gasping for air, their body broken by the terrible toxin of the death apples. She had studied the effects of the poison in her medical training. She knew what it did to alien bodies. It attacked the nervous system. It made muscles fail. It stopped the heart from beating. It was one of the worst ways to die in the galaxy. But what she saw was not chaos at all. Dr. Jae-won was standing in the middle of the garden, and he was eating another death apple. He was completely calm. He was not gasping for air. His body was not shaking. He was just standing there, biting into the red fruit like it was an apple from Earth, juice running down his chin and neck. He looked relaxed. He looked happy. He looked like he was enjoying one of the best meals of his life. Q-Ri stopped dead in her tracks. Her emergency kit was still in her hand, and the antidote injector was already activated, the needle sharp and ready to push medicine into his body. but now she did not know what to do. "JA1!" she shouted anyway, because the alarm was still going, and she did not know what else to do. "What are you doing?" J1 turned to look at her. He was holding the death apple in one hand, and his face was covered with red juice. He blinked at her slowly, like she had just woken him up from a nice dream. He said, still chewing. "Oh, hey, Curie. These are actually amazing. Tastes like mango and electricity. Want one?" Curie's brain did not want to accept what she was seeing. Every piece of her medical training told her that this was impossible. Humans could not eat death apples. No organic being in the galaxy could eat death apples. That was a fact. That was written in every medical textbook. That was something that every doctor knew. But here was J1 eating his second death apple, and he did not look sick at all. She stepped closer to him, her tricorder already in her hand. She ran a full scan of his body, from the top of his head to the bottom of his feet. The scanner made beeping sounds as it collected information about his body. His heart rate was elevated, but that was normal for someone who was excited. His breathing was fast, but not dangerously fast. His neural activity was strong and healthy. There were no signs of the death apple poison in his system. Curie looked at the scan results over and over, hoping that she had made a mistake. But the numbers did not change. They stayed the same. J1 was healthy. More than healthy. His body was functioning perfectly. "I do not understand," she said, and her voice sounded small and confused. "Why are you not dying?" J1 looked at the death apple in his hand, then back at Curie. "Am I supposed to be?" he asked, genuinely curious. "I feel fine. I feel better than fine, actually. I feel great." "Is something wrong with me?" "There is everything wrong with this situation," Curie said. She was thinking very fast now, her scientist brain taking over from her doctor brain. "But nothing wrong with you, apparently. Let me get you to the medical lab. We need to run more tests." Over the next hour, Curie brought J1 into the medical bay and connected him to every machine she had. There were machines that measured his blood, machines that looked inside his body without cutting it open, machines that listened to his brain, machines that checked his organs and his bones and his muscles. Every single test came back normal. J1 sat on the medical table, eating the second death apple that he had picked up from the garden, and waited for the tests to finish. He seemed completely unconcerned about the fact that he had just eaten something that was supposed to kill him. "You know," he said to Curie while she was running one of the scans, "I have always liked trying new things. When I was a boy, my grandmother told me that humans have very strong stomachs. She said we could eat just about anything that did not eat us first. I never believed her until today." Curie looked at him over her glasses. "Your grandmother told you that humans could eat death apples?" "No, she did not say death apples specifically," J1 said, laughing a little. "I do not think she knew what death apples were. But she said humans are tough. Humans can survive things that would kill other animals. I guess maybe she was right." The communication device on Curie's desk started making sounds. Captain Hay-Ill's voice came through asking for a status report. Curie did not know what to say at first. How do you explain something that is impossible? "Dr. J1 is alive and healthy," she finally said. "There are no signs of poison in his body." There was a long silence on the other end of the communication device. "Can you repeat that?" Captain Hay-Ill asked. "He ate a death apple, maybe 2 death apples, and he is fine. His vital signs are normal. His organs are working correctly. His brain activity is stable. Every scan I have run shows that he is in excellent health." Another silence. Then, "I am sending Zithral to the medical bay right now. Do not let J1 eat any more death apples until we understand what is happening." But when Zithral arrived at the medical bay, he took one look at the scan results, and his silver face seemed to turn even paler. The Valdorian scientist studied the numbers again and again, as if they might change if he looked at them enough times. "This is scientifically impossible," Zithral said quietly. "In my entire species history, no organic being has ever survived the death apple toxin. You should be dead. You should have been dead the moment the fruit touched your skin." Jaewon shrugged and reached for another fruit from the plate that Curie had brought him, just in case he wanted more. "Well," Jaewon said with a smile, "I guess humans are just lucky that way." Curie and Zithral exchanged a look. Neither of them was smiling, because they both understood in that moment that something very important had just changed. Something had shifted in the galaxy, and they had no idea what would happen next. All they knew was that they were looking at something impossible that was very much real. 1 week passed, then 2 weeks, then 3 weeks. During all this time, Dr. Jaewon sat in the medical bay, and Dr. Curie ran tests on him continuously. She took samples of his blood. She studied his organs. She mapped his genes. She measured the chemicals in his body. Every single test tried to explain how a human could survive something that was supposed to kill everything. The results never changed. Jaewon was healthy. His body was not breaking down. The poison from the death apples was not killing him. In fact, it seemed like his body was doing something strange with the poison. The toxin was not staying in his body. It was not building up over time. It was disappearing. It was being used by his body for something. During this time, Jaewon ate 17 more death apples. He ate them like they were snacks. He would sit in the garden, pick a fruit from the trees, and eat it while Curie watched with her scanners. After each one, she would run her tests again. After each test, the results were the same. He was fine. He was always fine. But something was happening to him. His muscles were getting stronger. His bones were getting denser. His mind was getting faster. When Curie asked him to think about difficult problems, he could solve them more quickly than he could a week before. When she asked him to run on the exercise equipment in the medical bay, he could run faster and longer without getting tired. The death apples were not killing him. They were making him stronger. Curie brought her research to a meeting with Captain Hae-il and the other human leaders on the station. They all sat around a table and looked at the numbers and the scans and the test results. No one spoke for a long time. "What you are telling me," Captain Hae-il said slowly, "is that the most poisonous fruit in the galaxy is actually good for humans." "Not just good for humans," said Sujin, the xenobiology researcher who had been studying Jaewon's results. "Excellent for humans. Better than anything we have in our food supplies. The molecular structure is complex, but what it does is boost human cell growth and strength. For a human body, the death apple is like the perfect medicine and the perfect food combined." "But why?" asked Lieutenant Min-ho, the ship's chief engineer. "Why would something that poisons everything else be good for humans?" Sujin leaned back in her chair. "Earth is a very old planet. It has been around for billions of years. During all those billions of years, humans evolved around millions of different plants and animals. Some of those plants and animals had poisons, some had diseases, some had things in them that could kill, but humans survived. We survived because our immune systems learned to handle almost anything. Our digestive systems learned to break down almost any poison and make it safe." She pointed at the scans of Jaewon's body. When Jaewon eats a death apple, his body recognizes that the poison is not supposed to be in there. His immune system goes to work. But instead of just making the poison safe, his body actually uses the poison. It uses the molecular structure of the toxin to make his cells stronger. He is not just surviving the poison, he is being enhanced by it. In the observation garden, Zithral was looking at the same test results. The Valdorian scientist was with Commander Zithrael, his superior, and several other Valdorian leaders. They were all looking at the numbers with expressions that ranged from shock to anger to confusion. "This is not possible," one of the older Valdorians said, shaking his head. The death apple toxin has been part of our world for millions of years. We created it through careful genetic selection. We designed it to be the perfect poison. Nothing should survive it. And yet, Zithral said quietly, humans do. Not only do they survive it, they are enhanced by it. I have reviewed the data many times. There is no mistake. The human body has found a way to use the poison as fuel. The old Valdorian stood up. Then the humans are stronger than we thought. This changes everything. Back in the medical bay, Curie was discussing the results with J1. He was sitting on the medical table, as he had been sitting every day for 3 weeks. His body was noticeably more muscular than it had been before. His skin seemed to glow a little, as if the death apple poison was actually making him healthier from the inside out. So what you are saying, J1 said, understanding what Curie was telling him, is that I am not just eating a forbidden fruit. I am actually eating medicine that makes me better? In a way, yes, Curie said. She was still amazed by this, even after 3 weeks of testing. Your body is processing the toxin in a way that no other species can. You are becoming stronger, faster, and more resilient. The death apple is doing to you what our best medicines would do, but better. Jaewon smiled. My grandmother was right. Humans are very tough. Yes, Curie said, and she was not smiling. She was thinking about how this information would change everything. She was thinking about what this meant for humans and for the galaxy. You are tough, but you are also very different from what we thought you were. That night, the news spread through the entire space station. Humans could eat death apples. Humans could be enhanced by them. Humans were not fragile creatures that needed to be protected. Humans were something else entirely. Captain High-Ill received a message from the Intergalactic Council. They wanted to know more. They wanted to send scientists to study J1. They wanted to understand how this was possible. They wanted to know what it meant for the future of the galaxy. The message ended with a simple question. Are humans the most dangerous species we have encountered? Hei-Il did not know the answer. But she had a feeling that everything was about to change. In the garden, the death apples glowed red in the darkness, waiting to be picked. And in the medical bay, Dr. Jaewon slept peacefully, his body working to process the incredible gift that his human DNA had given him. He was stronger than he had been a week ago. He would be stronger still a week from now, and no one in the galaxy could stop him from becoming whatever he would become. The news about Jaewon and the Death Apples spread across the galaxy like fire. Within 3 days, the observation garden of Space Station Zix-7 became the most important place in known space. Ships arrived from all the major planets, carrying scientists and leaders and curious beings who wanted to understand what had happened. Delegations from 12 different species came to study the human who could eat poison and survive. There were the Carabians, whose scientist was still sleeping in the medical bay after trying to touch a death apple. There were the Zephyrians, a species made of pure energy that had to wear special suits just to be near physical objects. There were the Lithians, beings made of stone who could not understand why carbon-based life forms were so fragile. They all wanted to know the same thing. How did humans do this? Sujin, the xenobiology researcher, became the center of attention. She spent her days explaining her findings to the different species. She showed them the scans of Jaewon's body. She explained how human digestive enzymes worked. She talked about Earth and its billions of different organisms and how that had forced humans to develop the strongest immune system in known space. Think of it this way, she told a gathering of alien scientists in the research conference room. On Earth, we have millions of different plants. Many of them are poisonous. We have millions of different animals. Many of them carry diseases that could kill us. We have bacteria and viruses that attack us every single day. For millions of years, humans survived all of this. The ones who survived passed their strength to their children. This happened over and over again, for so long that human immune systems became almost unbeatable. A Zephyrian scientist asked a question through its translation device. "Are you saying that humans are immune to all poisons?" "Not all," Sujin said carefully. "But we have the best chance of any species to survive something poisonous. Our bodies do not just say no to the poison. Our bodies study the poison. Our bodies learn from it. Our bodies use what they learn to make themselves stronger." The implications of this discovery spread through the scientific community. Researchers started looking at planets that had been thought to be too dangerous for human colonization. Mountains that released toxic gas. Humans might be able to breathe there. Oceans filled with chemicals that would dissolve other species. Humans might be able to swim in them. Jungles where every plant wanted to kill you. Humans might be able to live there. Engineer Minho started working on a new project. He wanted to create zones on the space station where humans could cultivate the death apples as food. If the fruits were good for humans, then why not grow them? Why not harvest them? Why not turn them into human nutrition instead of letting them sit in a dangerous garden where no one else could go? Captain Hai-Il approved the project immediately. Within 2 weeks, part of the observation garden was being converted into a human agricultural zone. The Valdorians watched this happen with a mixture of emotions. They were amazed. They were confused. They were also, though they did not like to admit it, a little bit afraid. The greatest scientist of the Valdorian species was Zith Ral. He had spent his entire life studying biology and genetics. He had helped create the death apple toxin thousands of years ago. He had always believed that his species was the most advanced in the galaxy, that they understood life better than anyone else. Now he was realizing that he did not understand life as well as he thought. One evening, Zith Ral went to visit Jaewon in the medical bay. The human was sitting in a chair, eating fruit from the trees, and reading a book about alien biology. He seemed completely comfortable now, as if eating the most dangerous substance in the galaxy was the most normal thing in the world. "You have taught my species something important," Zith Ral said, sitting down across from Jaewon. The Valdorian's voice was quiet and thoughtful. "We thought we knew everything about biology. We thought that we had mastered the understanding of life. But we did not understand Earth. We did not understand that there could be a world so complex, so dangerous, that a species could evolve to survive almost anything." Jaewon put down his book. "Where I come from, we have a saying. The more you learn, the more you realize how much you do not know. I think maybe that is true for all species, not just humans." Zith Ral seemed to accept this. He nodded slowly, his silver face thoughtful. "Your species has humbled my people, and perhaps that is good. Perhaps we needed to be humbled. Perhaps it is not healthy to believe that you know everything." Other discoveries came quickly. A human researcher named Dr. Yunji discovered that humans could also survive in low-oxygen environments longer than other species. A human engineer named Tai-O found that humans could work in extreme temperatures that would kill members of other species in minutes. A human doctor named Ji-Woo discovered that certain human digestive bacteria could break down materials that other species could not. One by one, the advantages of humanity started to become clear. Humans were not the strongest species. The Lithians could crush a human with a single hand. Humans were not the fastest. The Zephyrians could move at speeds faster than light. Humans were not the most intelligent. The Valdorians could think in ways that human minds could not even understand. But humans could survive. Humans could adapt. Humans could take the worst things the galaxy had to offer and keep living. And maybe, just maybe, that was the most valuable thing any species could have. The Intergalactic Council called a special meeting. Leaders from every major species in the galaxy came to discuss what to do about humanity. Some wanted to study humans more. Some wanted to recruit humans for dangerous jobs. Some wanted to use human DNA to improve their own species. But all of them agreed on one thing. Humans were important. Humans were special. Humans needed to be taken seriously. Captain Hai-Il stood before the council and spoke for her species. Humans came to the galaxy thinking we would learn from other species. We thought we would be students, but now we are learning that we have something to teach. We have something that makes us valuable. And we want to help the galaxy, not for power or for control, but because that is what humans do. We help each other. We help other species. We survive together, or we do not survive at all. The council members listened. They understood that something had changed. The age of human weakness was over. The age of human potential was beginning. And in the observation garden of Space Station Zix-7, the death apples continued to glow red in the darkness, waiting to be picked, waiting to feed the humans who could eat them and become stronger with every bite. 3 months after Jae-won first ate the death apple, Kyu-ri made a discovery that changed everything. She was sitting in her research lab looking at blood samples from Jae-won that she had taken over the past several weeks. She was comparing his early samples to his more recent samples, studying how his body had changed. The numbers did not look right at first. She thought there was a mistake. She ran the tests again, and again, and again. The results were always the same. Jae-won was not just getting healthy, he was getting stronger, much stronger. His muscles were developing faster than they should. His bones were getting denser. His nervous system was becoming more responsive. It was as if the death apple toxin was not just feeding his body. It was improving his body. It was making him into something more than a normal human. Kyu-ri called him into the medical bay the next morning. She had him stand on a special machine that measured his strength. The machine had him lift weights. It had him run. It had him do all kinds of physical tests. Then it measured the results. Jae-won was 40% stronger than he had been 3 months ago. He could run faster. He could jump higher. He could lift things that would have been impossible for him before. And his brain was changing too. He could think faster. He could solve problems that would have taken other scientists hours to figure out in just minutes. "This is incredible," Kyu-ri said, reading the test results. Her voice was shaking a little. "You are literally evolving. The death apple toxin is not just making you healthy. It is making you better than human. It is making you superhuman." Jae-won looked at his own hands as if he could see the changes that Kyu-ri was talking about. "So what does this mean? Am I going to keep getting stronger?" "I do not know," Kyu-ri said honestly. "This has never happened before. But the pattern suggests yes. Every time you eat a death apple, your body processes the toxin and becomes stronger. There might be a limit, but I have no way of knowing what that limit is." The news spread through the galaxy faster than anything had spread before. A human was being enhanced by the death apples. A human was becoming stronger and faster and smarter. A human was becoming something that no one had ever seen before. The Intergalactic Council sent messages demanding that Jae-won be brought to the capital planet for study. The Valdorians wanted to know how this was possible. The Carabians wanted to understand why something that had poisoned their scientist could make a human stronger. The Zephyrians wanted to measure the energy that Jae-won's body was generating. Everyone wanted something. But Captain Hai-Il protected Jae-won. She refused to let him be taken away from the space station. She refused to let him be studied like an animal. Instead, she invited the scientists to come to Zix-7 to study him there, where he was comfortable and safe. Dozens of alien scientists came to the space station. They set up laboratories and research centers. They measured everything about Jae-won. They took samples of his blood. They studied his genes. They used machines to look inside his body. They interviewed him for hours about what it felt like to eat the death apples and become stronger. Jae-won was patient with all of them. He answered their questions. He let them run their tests. But he kept eating the death apples. He kept getting stronger. He kept becoming more than what he had been. Dr. Yoon-ji, the human researcher who had discovered that humans could survive in low oxygen, had an important realization. She was studying the changes happening in Jae-won's body when she noticed something strange. The death apple toxin was not just making Jae-won stronger, it was giving him new abilities. His eyes could now see things that human eyes were not supposed to be able to see. He could see into the infrared range. He could see things that were too small or too far away. His ears could hear frequencies that human ears could not normally hear. His sense of smell was enhanced. His taste was more sensitive. His skin was becoming tougher, more resistant to damage. He is not just becoming a stronger human, Yoon-ji told Captain Hae-il. He is becoming something new. He is becoming a new kind of human, an evolved human. A human that is adapted to survive in environments and situations that no normal human could survive in. Kyuri brought this information to Jae-won. She expected him to be shocked or excited or concerned, but instead, he seemed calm about it. I always wanted to understand the universe better, he said. Now I am getting the ability to see more of it and understand it in ways I could not before. This is not a bad thing. This is a gift. The Valdorian leaders held a meeting to discuss what was happening. They were afraid. They had always believed that their species was superior. They had always believed that they were the most advanced, the most intelligent, the strongest. But now they were watching a human become something greater than them. A human was becoming enhanced by something that they had created as a weapon. A human was turning their greatest tool of destruction into something that made him better. In the garden where it had all started, Jae-won stood looking up at the death apples glowing in the darkness. Engineer Min-ho was there with him, working on expanding the human agricultural zone. Min-ho looked at Jae-won with a mixture of respect and concern. "Are you still happy?" Min-ho asked. "Even though you are becoming something different? Even though you might not be human anymore, not really?" Jae-won smiled. He took a death apple from one of the low branches and bit into it. The juice ran down his chin, and his enhanced eyes seemed to glow slightly in the darkness. "I am still Jae-won," he said. "I still like studying plants. I still like understanding how things work. I still like helping people. The fact that I can do all those things better now, the fact that I am stronger and faster and smarter, that does not change who I am. It just makes me better at being myself." Min-ho nodded. He did not fully understand, but he accepted what Jae-won was saying. Back on Earth, news of what was happening had reached the leaders of humanity. They understood that one of their own had become something more. They understood that Jae-won was no longer just a human scientist. He was a symbol. He was proof that humanity had potential that no one had realized. He was the beginning of something new. And on Space Station Zix-7, in the observation garden, where the first death apple had fallen to the ground, where Jae-won had made his first discovery, the red fruits continued to glow. They glowed as a reminder of what could happen when someone was brave enough to do something forbidden. They glowed as a promise of what humans could become. The age of human weakness was truly over. The age of human strength was just beginning.